This podcast is supported by Music Theater of Wenatchee, celebrating 64 years of bringing stories to life. From show-stopping musicals to powerful plays, the Music Theater of Wenatchee stage is where stories come alive. Now they are writing the next chapter, and you can help make it happen. To support the next act of community theater in Wenatchee, visit annex.mtow.org and donate today.
Opening night club.
We're not opening a nightclub.
It's the opening night club. We can't wait to watch an opening night show, because on opening night we always go with our opening night club. Opening night club.
Welcome to the Opening Night Club podcast. This is the podcast where we discuss and celebrate opening night theater in Central Washington. Today we have with me Gadfly Man About Town and my friend Skyler Cuthill. How you doing, Skyler?
I am doing okay, Kevin. I am still recovering.
You still have a scratchy throat.
It's been a long and strange road from hither to thither, but I am getting better each day. I'm improving a little bit. But yeah, this is coming up on 3 weeks. I don't think, other than like organ conditions or broken bones, I've ever been sick for this long. I'm getting old. It's a happening thing. It's a happening thing, folks.
Well, you sound better than you did during Oktoberfest last weekend.
What's your name for the competition? How do you spell that? Yeah, that was ugly.
And we had a new sound guy, and he mixed everything really loud. So you really kind of had to scream during the songs to be heard right next to somebody.
Yeah, but that's kind of my nature anyway, is I would have been screaming anyway.
You would have been over loud.
They would have been turning me down.
Yeah,
right.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so this week we were able to see Cashmere High School's Midsummer Night's Dream. I'm not sure why I always want to put an S on the end of a Midsummer's Night Dream.
There's just a lot of S's in there in general.
You think that's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's kind of, wait. Yeah, you're right. There's no S on Midsummer's. I actually went, but there isn't. That's kind of funny.
It's a Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yeah. You want to say
Night.
a Midsummer's Night.
Yes.
Dream. Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yes.
How interesting. Yeah, you're right. A Midsummer Night's Dream.
I have trouble with that every time.
A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Nice dream. Anyhow, we will be talking about that because that was our big opening night this week. We had big attendance. The club showed up in mass to watch opening night for Cashmere High School. And we've got opening nights coming up next week. Actually, every week we've got things that we can see and participate in. But we did want to catch up with you, Skyler. So this week, I'm sure there's been other things that you've been working on.
Yeah, Kevin. So we are recording this on a Sunday afternoon. And I'm actually, once we're done here, I am about to go audition for an upcoming show at the Icicle Creek Center for the Arts, which is Kate Hamill's adaptation of Sherlock Holmes. It is Miss Holmes and Miss Watson, Apartment 2B. Yeah. So I read the script. It's an interesting script. It's a lot of fun. It's very fast-paced. It's very engaging. And it's a feminist Sherlock Holmes. If you're familiar with
Kate Hamill.
Yeah, that's what she does. She takes an old-timey thing and she goes, oh, now they're all girls. And so it's a girl Sherlock Holmes and it's a girl Watson. And they go on adventures in the modern day. Well, it was performed first in 2023, and it's set in 21. So it's kind of funny. The opening monologue says this is not a period piece, but it kind of is now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read through it, and it's very specific to 2021.
It is. That's the danger of putting so many references in your play.
Yeah.
Which is exactly the case with Humans: a brief primer. However, my show, you're supposed to continuously be editing it so that it becomes funnier, so it's fine, whatever. But yeah, Kate Hamill wrote the Pride and Prejudice that we did at the ICCA back in 23.
Yes.
And she also wrote the Little Women that Quincy High School put on last year.
Which I hated that script.
It was offensive. But I like the Pride and Prejudice script quite a bit.
The Pride and Prejudice, yeah. So we're kind of a hit and a miss with Kate Hamill for me.
Yeah.
I have read this new one, Mrs. Holmes, Mrs. Watson, and I like it a lot.
Yeah.
It's got a completely different flavor from the other two.
Even Shakespeare wrote some stinkers. Right. Nobody bats 100 all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, my issues, I thought Quincy did a great job with Little Women. I think I'm just too familiar with Little Women as a book and as a musical to have somebody make drastic changes to who the characters are.
Yeah, it was kind of like in Sound of Music every year when the director changes like 2 lines, all the locals go, they changed 2 lines. Why did she do that? With Little Women, every time, because they made some pretty basic character changes.
Yes.
Some pretty significant character changes. We all went,
yeah.
What is this? This isn't the Joe March we know and love.
Yeah.
So it was different. Whereas Pride and Prejudice was probably truer to the idea.
Yes.
Of the main difference between the Pride and Prejudice adaptation and Pride and Prejudice the book is that Kitty is gone. You know, there are a lot of sisters in that book. You can cut one of them. And I remember the first time I read it through, I was like, you can't cut Kitty. And then by the end of it, I was like, yeah, you can cut Kitty, can't you? It's kind of a sadness.
Yeah, anyhow, so that show is coming up in February?
Yeah, so it's the second weekend of February. It is, very funnily, it is opening the same weekend as Lower Summer Theater auditions.
Gotcha.
So if everything works out for me, which I guess we can catch up on next week, I might have a very big weekend
There you go.
The second weekend of February.
You'll be in a show and auditioning for a whole slew of shows in the summer.
Yeah, well, LST has pretty intense auditions, you know.
Yeah.
Right? The dance auditions are often very difficult. Back in the day, there used to be 3 different levels of dance, beginner, medium, and advanced, right? And nowadays, I think it's just like beginner and advanced or beginner and like special skills, right? But it's still very hard. It is the most intense dance audition I've ever done, personally.
But that's the point. Is that you make it, no one should be able to do it all. And that's how you can see how far can they go before they're just over their head with dance.
Yeah, it's just demoralizing because you have all these perfect 19-year-olds that have done this in their entire life or whatever that just, and they just do it. And, you know, I'm kind of a schlubby 37-year-old. So I'm like, can you show that to us again? You know, so it's, I don't know, it makes you feel like, you know, what am I doing here? But, you know, there is almost always a non-dancing funny man in a musical. Right?
How many roles have you gotten that it was based on your dancing? I've never gotten one role based on my dancing at all.
I went to one audition where the girl told me that I was the best dancer, and then I didn't get the role.
Oh.
So I would say -1. So no. There is a place in the world for people like me. Right. But I don't know. You know me.
Yes.
That's my character is that like I wish things had been different.
Well,
I wish I'd been in Cats.
And as much as I say that you don't have to be able to dance, you and I don't have to be able to dance, but I would recommend everybody who wants to be a actor, and especially if you want to be professional, you want to do this all of the time,
yes,
you have to become a dancer.
Dance is a real skill. Everybody acts to some degree or another. Everybody sings to one degree or another, but dancing is like a skill. You have to learn that.
You've got to learn it.
Yeah.
And in every show, there's going to be a whole bunch of people that will be in the ensemble, in the chorus, that have to be able to dance.
Yeah.
And that is really their big skill. It doesn't really matter how well they act in the ensemble as long as they're not embarrassing. We have so many parts in shows that just require dancers. So if you can dance, you have a much better chance of working full-time.
Also, dance is fun.
And dance is fun.
Yeah.
And you'll be in shape.
Yeah. No, I love dance. I do ballet, right? I do Rachel Powers' dance fitness. I do really like it.
You do Zumba?
I do Zumba. They can't legally call it Zumba. It's dance fitness. Pardon you. But I really do like it. I genuinely do. But yeah, so I'm auditioning for so that's going to be at the Icicle Creek Center for the Arts, Kate Hamill's Sherlock show in the second week of February.
Okay.
And then tomorrow, they're going to be auditioning for The Minute. So if you're listening to this Monday morning, you still have time. Monday evening at Music Theater of Wenatchee, in the main theater in the Riverside, they'll be auditioning for Tracy Letts' The Minutes.
Tracy Letts has written a lot of shows that have been getting to Broadway, off-Broadway.
Yes,
and
very prominent.
And critical acclaim. And The Minutes was on Broadway a couple years ago, I think. And it is an interesting show. Everything Tracy Letts writes is interesting. And this one, I think it comes across as a fairly lighthearted office city council show. And it takes a turn in the second act, and I think the script is amazing.
Yeah, he wrote Killer Joe and August Osage County.
Yes.
Which both were performed here in Wenatchee, and both have film adaptations. Mm-hmm. Pretty high-quality film adaptations.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's directed by Brian Higgins, who's a lot of fun.
Brian Higgins has started directing a lot recently. He's been working with Quincy Valley Allied Arts, where I think his father started it.
Oh.
Yeah, and his mom was a drama teacher in Quincy, and so the Higgins have long, deep Quincy roots. And I believe Brian is directing the Quincy Valley Allied Arts show this spring.
Well, he directed Bright Star,
Yes.
which we went to, and was a lot of fun.
It was really good.
Yeah, it was a good show.
Yeah, and Wavra did the sets on that one.
Oh, did he?
He really did. Like when he was in Germany, they were sending set designs back and forth.
Wow.
And they were. It was a great set.
Yeah, they worked together because they did the puppetry together.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Wavra and Higgins.
Yep. Well, and they also... They worked with Apple Blossom to coach the speeches for the royalty candidates.
Ooh.
And when Mark left, they had to find more people. So I'm doing it now with Kevin Fenton from Eastmont.
Oh, really?
I've been doing that for 3 or 4 years. Kevin Fenton's an English teacher, and so he can work with them on how to compose a speech, put it together, what words to use and what not. And then I can coach them on physicality and a little how to present things well in front of a group.
Well, you used to do some volunteering for speech and debate because I remember seeing you at competitions a million years ago when I was judging.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That was like 10 years ago.
Well, and I went through high school in forensics and speech and debate and did fairly well. I won state in humorous and terp.
When you say one state, what does that mean?
I got first place in humorous interpretation
HI.
at the state competition. Yeah.
I got third.
You did?
Embarrassing.
What did you get? What was your piece?
It was a duo.
Oh.
It was Tom Stoppard. It was Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
Really?
Yeah. So
you made it funny enough to get to third.
We did a good job. We were funny.
Okay.
But I remember, this is like a defining teenage memory for me, is that we got to the finals. And, state, this is a big state. There's a lot of people. And the West Side schools are very intense about it. And almost all the other duos were black people doing really dramatic stuff. Like a man beating his wife or like a man being tortured by a sheriff or something. And I was like, son of a, we're out. We cannot win. We are done. And we were done. We did not win.
Well, you got third place.
Yeah, we got third. We were
That's
up there.
awesome.
We were on the podium or whatever. But yeah, you got first.
Yeah.
Well,
I did Gene Shepard. He wrote A Christmas Story with Ralphie and Flick and I did a piece where they're older. They're 16-year-olds going to prom and they all got very, very drunk.
Nice.
Yeah, and they were vomiting. It was that kind of thing that a high schooler can read, and I was a pretty white bread high schooler, and so I could read this thing about these kids.
So lots of times when you see a show or whatever, and it's middle school or high school, and the actors are supposed to portray being drunk, you can tell which of them has been drunk before and which of them haven't because they have very wacky ideas about what that entails. Yeah. May I ask if you, when you were doing this, had ever been drunk before, or did you
no.
So you did a wacky.
Well, I wasn't.
I'm drunk now.
It was all Gene Shepard, so he's the narrator and he's explaining what happened. So I didn't necessarily have to do it in their voice or act that way. Okay. So it's a very funny. It's a funny bit. It's a funny section, and I tried to get when I was assistant coach for the Wenatchee High School speech and debate, I was trying to get somebody to pick it up, but nobody's that interested. Just, I think that it's time. Funny stories from the 1950s, I think, have kind of fallen by the wayside.
I have not judged a speech and debate competition in probably 5 or 6 years now, but I am absolutely willing to believe you 100%. Knowing the kids today, interacting to some extent with the kids today. Yeah. So that's funny. So 30 years ago, you were doing a Gene Shepard bit about being drunk. Mm-hmm. And now this year, you are doing a Gene Shepard bit about being drunk.
Oh, that's true. I am Drunk Santa in A Christmas Story for the radio show.
Folks, it's called screenwriting. It all comes together.
It all comes together.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. Maybe in another 30 years, I'll have something else, another Gene Shepard drunk. It's the rule of threes. I've got to come back and do it again.
When I was younger, I loved Dave Barry. Yeah. He had the funny columns in the newspaper back when there were newspapers.
Back when there was columns in newspapers.
Yeah, and he wrote books too, humorous books.
Well, he would always have the year in review thing. Yeah, that went viral before there was the internet.
That was very funny. I always read those. Yeah. A lot of speech and debate stuff back then were Dave Barry bits when I was in high school. Yeah. A lot of, because he did short form stuff, 5-6 minute stuff. So it was perfect. Anyway, we were talking about the minutes. If you're listening to this Monday morning and Monday afternoon, please consider it. It's going to be a great show. Brian Higgins, wonderful director, wonderful dude. And that will be going up, I believe, in January.
Yes.
Right, at Music Theater of Wenatchee.
They're going to be starting rehearsals pretty quick. They need men.
Yes.
I think it's like 7 men, 1 woman.
And this is a straight play.
It's a straight play. There's no singing involved. There's no dancing.
Right after we were done recommending dancing so strongly to people who want to be involved in theater. This show has 0 dancing.
Well, music theater's trying to do more straight plays, just even though music theater has music in its name, that there is a need to have straight plays put on where the people don't have to sing, because we do have talented actors in town who aren't singers.
Well, and I like straight plays because they're cheaper to produce. You can just slap them out. Well, there's no band, there's no choreographer, right? I guess I should say generally. We're generalizing, right? Often fewer costume changes or whatever, right? So I do like a straight play. There should be a regular, I like the mixed economy. There should be a regular rhythm of straight plays with like big, splashy musicals thrown in too. Right?
That's right.
So yeah, I'm for it. I'm with it, absolutely.
Okay, so this week we went to go see Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yes.
And it was at Cashmere High School. They do their shows at the Cashmere Middle School. And this year we were able to see a few kids that had come back, but we saw a bunch of new kids that we weren't that familiar with.
Yeah, so I was friends with Allie Moran and Gabby Winchester, who both graduated last year.
Yes.
So a lot of new faces, which is great, growing the program.
That's right. And the big change here is that Susan Gupsh, who has been the drama coach and drama teacher there for years and years, has recently retired. And so this is the first show where the director is Brady Dundas.
Yes, and the first show where Kathy Bronson was not working the board in the back.
That's true.
Yeah, end of an era.
So Brady has really grew up in music theater and in theater in the area, went to school, got his teaching degree, and now he's been teaching at Cashmere High School. So it kind of fell in that he is now the director on this show. Susan is going to be back to direct the musical. In February.
And the musical is going to be Once Upon a Mattress.
There we go.
Yes. So that's the last weekend of January and then the first weekend of February.
Yeah. Cashmere High School doesn't have a spring musical. They have a winter musical to allow the kids to play spring sports.
They're by far the earliest of the high schools, right? They are always the first show out.
Which is kind of nice because we do have a dead time in January, February, where the schools are trying to get back in just because over the Christmas break, they don't want to be rehearsing. They don't want to stretch things over the Christmas break.
Yeah.
But Cashmere is successful in doing it.
No, it makes sense because especially for kids, that's kind of like you'd be starting over essentially after like the 2-3 weeks off, right? So like, why do it? The time value is there, you know. But the Cashmere schedule works.
Yeah.
They make
we
it work.
saw this show, and although it's a Shakespeare play, of course, it was adapted by Claudia Haas. So I wasn't quite sure what we were going to get, whether it was going to be complete, were we still going to get iambic pentameter? Was it going to be something different? And there really wasn't a lot of changes that I could see.
No, they added a framing device, which I'm not sure if was necessary. But otherwise, they just cut it down, which is probably the right choice for modern audiences and for modern kids, right? Because I know the show fairly well, and there was stuff missing. Yeah. But nothing critical, you got all the important parts were there.
So the framing device, I might disagree on that one. I think it worked well.
Oh.
So what they did is they had somebody sleeping and she's trying to remember her lines because she's going to be in a production of Midsummer Night's Dream. And she falls asleep and Puck shows up and brings her into the show. And really has very few lines, but what she does is she's able to be the audience and be someone who can tell the audience that, oh, this is wrong. Puck should not have done this. He got the wrong person and put them to sleep, which can be a little confusing even for people who've seen it before. Is this what was supposed to happen? Because Puck enthusiastically puts the wrong person under a spell.
Yeah. No, she kind of guided the audience along.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think it was a framing device that will help audiences that aren't familiar with Midsummer Night's Dream so that they will appreciate the show and follow it along a little better.
You're right. A Midsummer Night's Dream is probably the most commonly done Shakespeare show.
I would agree.
It's the funniest, I would think, of the comedies. It and Much Ado About Nothing, but I would definitely Midsummer Night's Dream is done more commonly. So I've been in this show a couple of times. This is actually, funnily enough, this is the first show I did as an adult. If we want to talk about that later or whatever. It's a funny story about me getting into acting. It's like a 26-year-old or whatever.
Did you do theater in high school?
Very marginally. I did like 2 shows between middle school and high school. I was FDR at Annie, classic.
Okay, that is a classic role.
It really is. There's a picture of me as like an 11-year-old in the wheelchair with like gray in my hair. It's very cute. And I was, this is funny because we were speaking last week about Andy Sheets being like the ship captain.
Yes.
I was the ship captain in The King and I.
Oh.
Yeah, he's only in the very first scene.
Yeah.
He goes, "Aye, milady, Thailand is a crazy place. You'll go on a wacky adventure here, yar." And then he goes off stage and he never comes back on.
Were you in the ensemble? Were you in the chorus?
I was also the creepy ambassador.
Oh.
That shows up for one scene in like Act 2 to underline that she needs to like marry the King of Siam.
Okay.
Because like he's weird. And she goes, "Oh, white men, gross."
Was that back in the Mauser days?
That was John Mauser.
Yeah.
Everybody browned up because it was a different time. But yeah, no, I was not a theater kid at all. I did no theater in college or anything like that. And then in 2014 was a big year for me. It was the year I entered my first serious relationship. I became a realtor and I was in my first show.
Yeah.
And I made zero money as a realtor the first year. I didn't make a single sale. Right. So these were bad times. Last week also we talked about it. The young people don't get it. These were really bad times. These are bad times nowadays too. But like there were just no jobs back then.
Yeah.
You couldn't even be a waiter if you wanted to, And a friend of mine from high school, she was off in Montana doing Missoula Children's Theater.
Gotcha.
And she came back for that summer to be in Midsummer Night's Dream, which was the first summer show directed by Henry Heddick at the Ascot Creek Center for the Arts when he was the creative director there. And I guess he had a bigger vision for the show than what wound up occurring because he put out there that he would pay $50 to anybody who essentially wanted to be an extra in the show.
Oh.
Yeah, non-singing, non-dancing, non-speaking. So I could use $50. And this was not $50 per show. This is $50 for the run.
Yeah.
For like the 3 weeks, right? So I showed up on the first dress rehearsal, and Henry said like 2 sentences to me. He said, "Here's your costume. You follow Clint around and don't say anything." I went, "Okay, I can." It was Clint Strand was our Oberon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, who's now the like the director of communications at Confluence. He was really good. He was a real pleasure. And I followed him around and I didn't say anything. And I got my $50.
And you got $50.
Yeah, for 3 weeks of work.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a different time, folks. Well, back in 2014, you could get a beer for $3 and you can get a sandwich for $5. Right. These were pre-COVID prices.
And you could get a chocolate bar for a nickel.
It was great. It was, the prices are whatever. We're digressing. But anyway, but yeah, so that was essentially me. That was my first like theatrical experience as an adult. It was fine. That was where I met JJ Hernandez also. This is before JJ Hernandez lived in Leavenworth. He was a Central kid. Okay. So Henry, recruited from Central for the show, right? And then it was that fall. So this was in summer. Then that fall, I was at the Grotto, which was the bar at the Sleeping Lady, wonderful bar. And I was getting drunk because that's my nature. And Henry Heddick walked in the door, because he worked there.
Yeah.
I mean, at the Sleeping Lady, not at the Grotto. And I went, "Henry, when you gonna put me in a show?" And Henry went, "Oh, pardon me, I must be going." And he walked out. And then the next day, he called me because he still had my contact information. Yeah. And said, "I actually do have a show for you." And I was the guy that made the owl sounds in the first Snowy Owl Family Christmas show.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Henry, amongst others, had written a Christmas show, like a family Christmas show about like a family that gets lost in the woods and a magical owl guides them home. A snowy owl. Because it's a Snowy Owl Theater.
I've never heard of that show. How did I miss that show?
It was like 2015 or 2014. I guess it was 2014.
Yeah.
We did quite a few Christmas shows out there.
Yeah.
They sold reasonably well. Probably by far the one show that made any money out there when we were doing those shows. And I remember Henry sent me to the Cornell ornithography program or whatever. Yeah. They had a library of bird sounds. They made me listen to the Snowy Owl bird sound, and it is not the normal owl sound. It's like high. It's like, "Rah!" And I was like, "Henry, this is not going to read." And he's like, "Don't care. That's the Snowy Owl sound. You make it." And I did. By God, but I did. I made the owl sound.
Wow, and you can still
Yeah.
do the snowy owl sound.
That's almost certainly not the snowy owl sound. I should have done my research. I should have gone back to the Cornell ornithography library or whatever.
No.
But yeah, that's how I started doing theater.
Okay.
Yeah, because they would pay me the big $50.
Because you got $50.
I was making literally zero as a realtor. You know, it's all commission. There's no wages or anything.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, hell yes, I'm going to be able to eat.
On your 1040, you had to put $50 this year.
From the ICCA.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I
Okay.
most certainly didn't file taxes.
So we were talking about Midsummer Night's Dream,
Yes,
and
yes.
we've gone way off on this one.
Yes.
Okay, so Cashmere High School, I want to talk about a few people that were in the cast that I just loved. And Nick Bottom, who, for those of you who've seen little bits and pieces of Midsummer Night's Dream, Nick Bottom is the kind of bombastic actor. He's actually an actor in the show, and he's the one that ends up with a donkey head.
Yes.
And still not quite sure why they decided to give him a donkey head, outside of the fact that they could make lots of jokes about him being an ass.
No, that's it.
That was completely it.
The fairies love fun. They
That's
love
right.
hijinks, right, and mischief, right? So that's it. Make him an ass. And if you've seen Something Rotten, that's the joke. The protagonist in that, who's the rival of Shakespeare, is named Nick Bottom.
I gotcha.
So that's the joke that Shakespeare wrote Midsummer Night's Dream. And it's like, yeah, this dude, he's an ass. They call him an ass constantly in the show.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay, good to know. Anyhow, Dylan Cornea was playing Nick Bottom, and he was all in. We've seen him for years at this point as he's come up through the Cashmere High School. He's very funny, and he's got a good stage presence. And he was really physically into this role and was all over the stage and a lot of fun.
Yeah, Nick Bottom is one of those roles. It's such a big role, right? He's constantly trying to steal the other actors' parts, that
That's
kind of
right.
thing. So it really rewards an actor who wants to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And Puck is the same way. And my favorite was McKenna Fritz.
Who's great.
Who was Puck, you know. And again, Puck is, you know, a huge, you know, all over the place role. And she was very physical, you know, leaping around, that kind of thing. I thought she was a real pleasure.
Well, and we've seen her up at Leavenworth Summer Theater.
Yes. So I might be missing a show, but I know for a fact that she was in The Sound of Music in 21 and she was in The Music Man in 22.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've acted with her a couple of times.
Yeah. So a lot of experience there with those. The other ones, we had Callie Miller as Hermia and Lexi Lutton as Helena, and who are the jilted lovers? I don't think they're jilted.
Misplaced.
Yes.
Everything. It's a comedy. Everything comes out right.
Yeah,
You know?
it in its core, it's a farce.
Yes.
Because there's lots of mistaken identities as we go through, and people get spells cast where they fall in love with people that they're not in love with.
Mm-hmm.
And their partners would be Lysander and Demetrius, Trip Martin and Micah Malloy. We had a couple Malloys in this one.
Oh, that's why Mr. Malloy was there.
Yeah, Lauren Malloy's their dad.
Oh, I didn't put that together.
Yeah.
Oh, how funny. I was like, what is he doing here? Lauren Malloy has been in the theater community for a little bit now. He does comedy, and he was in the Hot August Nights show.
Yeah.
Right, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. He did a good job.
Yeah. No, I talked to him a little bit on the way out, and he was there to support his kids.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, his other son played Oberon, and Cameron Malloy, and of course, King Oberon is partnered with Titania, who was played by Emerson Thomason.
I was in this show twice. I was once a non-speaking role, like backup fairy, and I was Francis Flute, who is the mechanical who becomes Thisbe. In this show, the joke of the Francis Flute character is that it's a man who does really not want to portray a woman on stage, right? Because back in the day, Shakespeare times, and it was a woman. So they actually cut out all in the actual script, all the jokes are about his voice not being high enough, and he's got a beard and so on and so forth. And all that was cut. And so I was wondering if they cut that specifically or if that was part of the adaptation. Because this is an adaptation, right, by Claudia Haas, right? So I was wondering if they removed that.
Yeah, Tilly Richmond played Frances Flute Thisbe.
Yeah.
And she did, when she was dressed as Thisbe, she was playing the classic Thisbe doing the voice.
Yeah, and she was like, she had really messy makeup and a bad wig. So it was like, they were kind of like meeting it halfway.
That's right.
Without actually going, sorry, sir, you're going to have to play a woman. And him going, nah, you know.
Yeah. Well, and they did change Peter Quince to Petra Quince, and that was also played by Marn Peterson. So they did a few changes. So it could be that Brady was really making changes, and not that it matters that it's Peter Quince.
No.
It's just that we're familiar with Shakespeare, and so there is a certain amount of background knowledge that we had going into it.
Peter Quince and Tom Snout the Wall.
And Tom Snout,
most desirable role in Shakespeare. Tom Snout by name, present a wall.
So I've been part of Short Shakespeareans for years because my kids were in Short Shakespearean. So we've done Midsummer Night's Dream multiple times with them. And I think the last time we did it, my daughter was the wall. Kaya,
oh, really?
Kaya played the wall.
I won Kaya by name, present a wall.
That's right. And Kaya is Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
And so at some point, she has to point out the chink in the wall.
Oh.
And so Kelly Atwood very thoughtfully changed it to the notch in the wall, which if anybody was, just it was.
I was going to say, actually, in the show that we watched, the chink wasn't big enough.
For them to...
Yeah, it was like they knit their hands together, and I was like, they're not going to be able to kiss through that, but then they didn't do that bit anyway.
No, it was really good. The two couples I thought worked pretty well.
Yeah.
We've seen Trip Martin. He's been in it for quite a while now. I think he's a senior. And he was good as the very romantic Lysander. Mm-hmm. And his fighting with Demetrius was funny. They pulled out the swords and they were all in on the sword fighting.
No, everybody got a huge kick out of it. Them chasing, like Scooby-Doo chasing in the background.
That's right.
While the women were like monologuing, in the foreground. The men were coming out one door, coming out the other. One's chasing one, the other's chasing the other. It was a lot of fun.
I think Brady in the past has been the one that has kind of come in to help the kids with the fighting.
Oh.
He's been the consultant that would come in and show them how to fight on stage. What do you call that? I'm missing that.
The fight choreographer.
Fight choreographer.
Yeah.
He would come in and do that. So I'm certain that's the reason that they seem to know what they were doing with the swords.
I remember when we saw Little Women at Cashmere, they had a fight sequence at the end of Act 1.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, it was the Rodrigo play thing.
Yeah, but then it like expanded. It was like a huge melee.
Yes.
And I remember being like, what's happened? Has the South taken Boston? Because it was an adaptation. It was like, is there fighting in the streets? Is Lee attacking the North? But yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay, so he's been like consulting with Cashmere for a while then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that I've ever seen Helena and Hermia start sword fighting.
Oh yeah, that was new.
That was new. I thought it was funny. Yeah. I think to have girls dressed as princesses in long dresses pull out swords and then start sword fighting. Yeah. I thought that was very cute.
No, it was high energy. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
And I wanted to compliment the lighting also. Sometimes the kids had a little trouble finding their light, but overall, it was a very like dappled look, right? So it was like, presenting it as a forest, because 90% of the show is in the forest or wandering around and they're getting lost, right? Mm-hmm. And I really liked it overall. That it was very shadowy, it was kind of like a spread light.
Yes. No, it looked really good. And I think
diffused light.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Light coming through leaves. And,
through a canopy.
And I'm sure they had gobos and all sorts of stuff set up. Kylie Boggs has been working really hard with the Cashmere High School tech crew for quite a while. And so the kids that come out of that program are really good. And we end up generally using the Cashmere High School tech crew up at Leavenworth.
Oh, yeah, because Ali Moran's sister has done it for a long time now, Raven.
Yes. And that's where that comes from, is there's been a pretty tight connection between the Kylie and that team.
And I wasn't in the last season, but I think Ali also did tech this last.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. No, yeah, Ali did tech for Little Mermaid.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So anyhow, I also wanted to shout out, I think it's Lane Bagley was Mustard Seed, who had the gruff voice that he would do. And I got to say, he was giving off a really strong Liam Schmidt vibe when he came out with the little button cap. And he was very jigger when he came through.
He was a very grumpy fairy.
He was a very grumpy fairy.
Yeah,
if
a
you
grumpy
can believe
Smurf.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he was great. He was a real pleasure. It was fun.
Yep.
It's fun when you put more character into this kind of stuff and you don't just go, I only have like 5 lines. When you actually like go for it.
Yeah, he totally did.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I liked it a lot.
Great choice. Great choice.
Yeah, we had great kids in this, and like I said, we knew the seniors because they've been coming up through it for a while, but there's a lot of new kids in that program and a new director, and boy, they just did a great job.
Yeah, really liked it. Strong start to the season.
A strong start to the season. So we are moving into really the shows are starting to come out. This next weekend on the 30th, we will be attending the Shadowcast of Rocky Horror Picture Show at the PAC, which if you're not familiar with it, they will play the movie, The Rocky Horror Picture Show, and then they will have the local actors in front acting it out in costume. You can participate. They will sell goodie bags and that kind of stuff. So we will be there for that.
Yes, the auditions for that have already passed, so if you're interested in it, you missed your opportunity. But I'm sure they'll do it again next year. They've been doing it for a while now. And yeah, I always go, and it's always a lot of fun.
Yep.
And my good friend TJ Farrell will be on stage.
in it.
Yeah, she'll be on stage this year, and she will be leading the calls. So, you're supposed to like scream stuff at the screen or whatever and supposed to throw stuff and whatnot. She will be the master of ceremonies because she has been doing this for a long time and she knows it by far the best of all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been deprived of my date this year. It's terrible. But no, it's great. She will be leading all of us in our ritual responses to a Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Perfect. Yeah. You don't really have to know anything about Rocky Horror outside. Well, I suppose you do need to know it is a little risque.
You need to know it's very gay.
Yeah.
You need to be ready for that. This is an important part of like the theater culture. We love it. So be in on that. Tim Curry is a magnificent transvestite.
Yep. Well, and this is long before trans culture was anywhere.
Yes.
This was it.
Yes. It was way far out on the edge right at the time, which is why people responded to it. Lennon was really ahead of his time, right? You stake something out and you stick to it. But no, I love the film. It's an important part of like the theater culture, so I like to celebrate that. And we will be there.
Yes.
God willing, I will be in costume. I'm trying to rig together the costume now. And if I am successful, it's going to be a humdinger.
A humdinger.
A humdinger, but I'm not promising anything because it might not come through.
I gotcha. So the week after that is the opening of Puffs on Friday the 7th, I believe.
Yeah, but we'll probably be there on the 8th.
We will be there on the 8th, probably at the matinee.
Yeah, because it's in Quincy. So we like to like put a group together or whatever and drive during the day, getting old folks.
Well, and I'm also on Friday, I'm going to Shucked.
Oh!
At the Paramount.
Your favorite show.
I hope it's my favorite show. I've been building it up in my mind for quite a while.
This is a man in chair type situation. Have you never actually seen The Drowsy Chaperone?
I've seen The Drowsy Chaperone.
No, The Man in Chair. It's his favorite show, but then at the end he goes, I've never even seen it. I've only listened to this recording.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, Kevin, what if it's bad?
It could be, but I think I'm going to like it even if it's bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll be shattered.
Yeah. No, I went to see Cats, the musical, the movie, and I've always loved the music. It was my first album. I loved it. And so I took my daughter, and as we're leaving, because there's nobody in the theater, it was just the two of us.
Yeah.
And as we're leaving, I was like, that was great. I loved it. I'm going to commit to how much I love that thing. And my daughter's like, okay.
I also went to see Cats in the theater, and it was so bad that it played a significant role in breaking up the relationship that I was in at the time.
Wow.
It was such a bad film
because
it split me and a woman up.
Because she liked it and you didn't.
No, I hated it. And she was like, she also hated it, but she was like, this is what theater people do. I don't want to do this. We're done. I don't want to be part of this community. This is what you guys do.
You bound your fate with Cats the movie.
Yeah. It was fine. The relationship was not going to work out anyway. But it was funny being like, it was so awful that it reached through the screen and like hurt me personally.
It was not that bad.
It was terrible.
It was not.
I've watched it again since then. It is dreadful. Every choice made is wrong.
No.
Oh, yes.
I think I'm going to disagree.
I like Skimbleshanks because I always like Skimbleshanks. Skimbleshanks is that's like the best number in the show by far. I mean, in the show, well, not by far in like the actual show, but in the movie, Skimbleshanks is by far the best number.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. He taps. It's great.
Yeah. Okay. Moving off from Cats. today, because if you're listening to this on Monday, we've got the auditions for the Minutes coming up. And then our next ones that we'll be going to on Thursday the 13th, we're seeing the opening nights for either Eastmont High School's Too Many Detectives or Wenatchee High School's Little Shop of Horrors. So we've got a couple things coming up, and then we'll have a little break really for Thanksgiving, and then we'll be right back at it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so tune in next week to see if I got the role.
That's right.
In
how the auditions came out.
Sherlock Holmes. Also, I am going to be in the cast of Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, which is the first week of December, and I am going to be playing Winky the Elf.
Winky.
It's a real full deployment of my talents.
So you're on the Santa Claus side.
Yes, in the battle between Santa Claus and the Martians.
Okay.
I've got 8 lines, all of which are a variation of Aye, Santa. So I've already done all my memorizing.
Oh, they're nice.
Put me in there. I'm
so
ready.
Is Santa a pirate in this one?
No. His elves just say aye.
Okay.
Or maybe they say yes, Santa. It's somewhere. It's a confirmation type sentence.
Okay. Yes, chef. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's often, it's important in theater when you're memorizing the lines, you don't get them word perfect sometimes, but you get the idea across. So you keep it going, right? So I know that all of my lines, the essence, the objective or whatever is to say yes to Santa.
Is to agree with whatever Santa's doing.
I am pro Santa. But yeah, so that'll be fun. That's going to be like, it's going to be kind of a half improv show. It's going to be put together pretty quickly. There's a lot of local luminaries in that, and when we have more information on it, we will talk about it. Okay. But auditions have already passed. It's all done, but we will be at the Icicle Creek Center for the Arts the first week of December.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So summarizing this week, we've got auditions for the Minutes coming up Monday night, and then on Thursday, the 30th, we've got the Shadowcast of Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes, at the PAC.
So that about wraps it up for this week. Go out there and see some theater, and if you can, make sure you go out and see an opening night.